they come back to finish the job.
Welcome to the Live and More Academy YouTube channel, where we break down reality TV, social media, and celebrity gossip so you can get an understanding of the reality of toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics and trauma, and what this can look like in real time. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe, hit that bell, and let's get into it.
All right, let's talk about Chris Brown and Karrueche. I hope I said her name right, because I did a whole video before where I said her name completely wrong. Forgive me if I've said it wrong. Anyway, this situation with Chris Brown and Karrueche at Coachella makes me want to talk about the key points at which toxic, narcissistic, and abusive types will spin the block, aka Hoover, because this topic, this situation, opens up the perfect opportunity for us to talk about it. So for those of you who don't know what happened, Chris Brown was found talking to Karrueche at Coachella. Now, for those of you who don't follow this, Chris Brown had a very toxic, I'm using the lighter word for that, relationship with Karrueche, whereby he was very physically attacking of her. You get what I mean by that, right? So he was doing all of that, and she had to get a restraining order against him. That's basically the short story of their situation. She finally broke away from him. I don't know the details of that. You can fill me in the comment section, but she's away from him. And here they are seen speaking to each other, laughing and kikiing at Coachella. So first, let's have a look at what social media is actually talking about. I'm going to play the video without the sound, because the sound is one of Chris Brown's songs, and A, I don't want to support him like that, and B, it's probably going to get copywritten, so I took it out. Right, so here we are. So let's go ahead and have a look at what social media saw. So there you can see him saying stuff, you can see her laughing, and yeah, that's basically what social media are going crazy about. So as a result of seeing that video, Chris Brown fans are very much wanting to see them get back together. And I find this really odd. I don't find it odd. I find it disturbing that this man has a whole documentary called The History of Violence, or A History of Violence. I haven't actually got to see it yet because I can't get access to the network at which this documentary is on, but as soon as I do, I will be talking about it, of course, right? But what I find really disturbing about this is that there's the whole documentary out about his history of violence against women. So we're not talking about Rihanna and an accident that happened, when he was younger, because that's what social media like to frame it as. However, he has a history of violence against women in general, including throwing one of his female fans out of a moving tour bus. Okay? So yeah, a history, right? So that's why I find it really disingenuous when he comes out with this whole think piece about how he's changed and how he was really, regretful of what he did to Rihanna, and basically did a whole spiel about his mistakes with Rihanna without acknowledging all the abuse and all the toxic, narcissistic, and abusive things he's done to other women since then. To me, that's already a red flag, because I'm just like, okay, Rihanna was a long time ago and she isn't the only one. So, sir, we're not, no, I'm not taking that on board, right? Karrueche is another one. She is another person who was targeted, and she had a very long-standing relationship with Chris, as I understand it.
In fact, as we look at this again, I think it's important that we ask ourselves the question, is she actually laughing or is she fawning? Because fawning is what we do when we perceive a threat and just basically go along with whatever the threat wants in order to get along. And it's a trauma response. So is she laughing, or is she fawning?
Anyway, social media is going crazy. Fans want to see them together. I find this disturbing. Let's hear what some of them have said about the situation.
Y'all gotta stop trying to encourage struggle love. Y'all seeing Karrueche and Chris Brown laughing and smiling in a 10-second clip, and now y'all are harassing that lady in her comment section to get back with Chris Brown, talking about go get your man. Did we forget that she had to get an entire restraining order against that man? Y'all think people can't be healed from a toxic relationship and be able to be cordial with one another, share the same space, but that does not mean that they're any good for one another. That does not mean that they should be in a relationship at all. She's probably looking as happy as she is because she finally got her sanity back. She's probably looking that cheerful because she's not fearful for her life. Y'all don't ever want to promote self-love, self-preservation. Love yourself enough not to go back to that man. Love yourself enough to know that situation is not a situation you need to be in. Love yourself enough to mature.
And here's the thing about that. I think it's really, his fans are really toxic. They are really toxic. If someone comes out accusing him of anything, they go to their page and basically harass them. I did the whole videos about that and how his fans do that, which is just really, really, really just horrible. And again, they're doing it in this incident. And okay, they see it as a good thing, like love coming back together. However, that's not love coming back together. It's you gaslighting, not so much gaslighting, but putting pressure on, being a flying monkey for an abusive. That's what you're doing when you go into her comments and you try to get her to go back to him. That's what you're doing. Like, the person-to-person version of that is the guy telling his friends that he really loves the woman, and then the friend going and telling the target of abuse that, my gosh, my friend really loves you. He can't stop thinking about it. It's basically that. It's the third-party hoover, right? So when the fans are getting into her comments, they are engaging in being part of the third-party hoover, okay? They need to understand that when they... And some of them won't care, okay? But others, I hope, will understand. Well, I don't even know if they'll watch this, but if they came across it, would get to understand the part that they're playing in a toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamic when they do that. It's better they stay out of the situation. We don't know where she is in her healing process. We don't want to pull her into a vulnerable situation. She's doing well. Let's just cross our fingers and hope for the best, right? There's something else that he said here. That's it. When he's talking about loving yourself enough to not go back to that man, I don't think it's as simple as that. I mean, I think a lot of us can know that we are not it's not a good thing to do, and know that the person's not right for us, and still go back, not because we don't love ourselves enough to not go back, but because we're trauma bonded, because we're addicted, because we feel as though it's out of our control. That's what can happen a lot of the time, right? Because we're trying to escape the pain of being away from them. So I would say, I don't want to use the word love yourself enough, but I would say dig your heels in enough to make yourself do what you know you need to do, right? Mind over heart decision. Right? Because I understand, even though you don't actually love that person, because you don't actually know who that person is, because you're not loving the toxic, narcissistic, and abusive part. You're loving the love bombing part, and the love bombing part doesn't exist. But that aside, okay, you believe that you love that person. I get it. We believe that we love that person. In that state, I want to encourage people to make a head over heart decision. Make yourself do what you know you need to do. You know that you need to stay away from that person because you know that person is no good for you. So you need to make yourself stand on that regardless, right? And that's what I wanted to point out there, because I just don't think it's as simple as love yourself when you're in those types of situations and when you're trying to get away from those situations. Yes, your self-esteem is in the toilet. Yes, you don't have a lot of self-love once you're leaving the situation, but I just don't think you going back is about you not loving yourself past the point, right? Yeah. So that's the point I wanted to make there. Let's move on to the next part. Let's see what some other people had to say, because that's what he had to say. And we've got one of his great fans. I believe I featured her in a video before, and it's interesting what she had to say. And I find her energy quite infectious, really, to be fair. But of course, I still don't agree with what she's saying. But great energy, great expression. She made me giggle a couple of times just watching her. So I like that, but obviously I don't agree with her message. But let's have a look at what this woman had to say about it.
Laughing and being. So there's a picture of Karrueche Tran and Chris Brown laughing and being cordial at Coachella. And everybody is in the comments like, oh, he beating them allegations. Oh, this is so cute. This is growth. She's the only one that'll make him get married. Like the
What growth? She's the only one that'll make him get married. Again, we're doing that it's very toxic thinking when we believe that it's a woman's responsibility to make a man do something in regards to committing, in regards to staying. All of that are false toxic narratives that feed into red pill kind of thinking and contribute to women staying in toxic, narcissistic, and abusive relationships. So all of that thinking, I need us to take and throw in the trash. I need us to take that and throw it in the trash right there. It's not our responsibility to make a man do anything. The man is going to do what he's going to do according to who he is. You are not his mother. You don't get to raise him again. That's not how that works. And toxic, narcissistic, and abusive people especially are raised with a way of thinking that supports and justifies their toxic, narcissistic, and abusive behavior. You are not going to untrain them out of it. Okay, it stems out of childhood. You're not going to be able to heal them and love them back to a space where they're healthy. It is their programming. It is their default setting. Okay, I need you guys to understand that.
heart faces and the kiss face emojis, and all I could think about is he pushed her down a flight of stairs. We're not making up after that.
Exactly. What is this heart emojis? What is this, romanticizing of a guy being physically abusive? I don't understand. That's not the only thing he's done. He's done a load of things, but come on, guys. Where do we say that we care about women and men being abusive in those ways, and we say it's unacceptable, and then we say things like this, then we get into comments trying to get her to go back to him, then we start getting into comments talking about, oh, it's cute, oh, it's love, oh, it's like, what are we doing? Which one is it? What are we doing? Anyway, now let's hear from his diva, one of his devoted fans. I mean, she, honestly, when the documentary came out about him, she was one of the most vocal people in I don't care, I'm not watching it, this is all garbage, regardless of the fact that it's clearly not. Because they got a whole history, including court cases and all the rest of it. And she was basically like, I don't care. But anyway, we're not hating on her because, like I said, she's got nice energy. She's just a little bit, what's the word? I don't want to use the word lost because that's a bit harsh. Distorted in the way that she thinks about things. Let's put it like that.
I've been looking at my phone like this ever since I saw Chris and Karrueche. Imagine you and your soulmate break up because your soulmate ain't shit, and then all of a sudden, it's 2025, boom. Your soulmate's right there, just next to you, just kicking it with you, just LOLing real quick on a pass through.
All right, now that since she brought up soulmates, here's my view of the soulmate situation. Like the spiritual people go deeper into it. They go into twin flames and all of that stuff. I believe that twin flame is code for toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamic. And if you hear any spiritualists talking about twin flames, you need to get out of that relationship ASAP. Okay. A lot of spiritual people talk about it in regards to you just have to work with them. And it's just basically toxic and abusive, right? There's no working with. Okay. If you're in a twin flame situation, you need to get into the single flame era, because no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I just feel like that whole term is just a way of justifying, like I said, abusive dynamics. The soulmate situation, however, I believe is a little bit different. I mean, yes, they do spin it in the same way, like, oh, it's your soulmate, you're supposed to be together. I personally don't have that interpretation of a soulmate. For me, a soulmate is someone who you've agreed to learn a lesson with in this lifetime. Now, in that, they will feel familiar to you. In that, you're going to have a connection with them that is different from other connections that you've had. Great, amazing, because you need that in order to be drawn together to learn this lesson, right? That's it. It doesn't mean that that's your person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean that you've got to do this struggle love thing with them and then you're going to get a payoff at the end. It doesn't mean any of that. We need to take all of that and throw it in the trash. Great, you've met a soulmate. Your soulmate could be an intimate partner. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be a friend, your sister, your brother. It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily, in my view, connected to a romantic relationship. And yes, soulmates can be great things. Okay, they can be long-lasting, loving parts of your life. But soulmates can be the narcissistic relationship that you just had, for instance, right? And it's up to us to really kind of like decipher what is happening within that, rather than hearing the word soulmate and feeling as though someone is a soulmate and believing that, oh my gosh, we're going to be forever. Rather than that, how about we go, I feel like I have a special connection with this person. What does that mean? What has this come to teach me? And then assess that person as you would any other person in your life, rather than dismissing red flags and saying it's going to be great because you're soulmates and you're connected forever. Like I said, I believe we make an agreement with certain souls to teach us certain things. And then we come here and then we meet those souls and we are supposed to learn the thing, right? And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. That's my version of a soulmate. Guys, you tell me your interpretation of what a soulmate is in the comments, or what it means to you in the comments. I'm not necessarily right. This is my theory based on my experiences, based on what I've read and all that stuff, what I came up with. But like I said, I'm not the authority on this. It's just my point. Let me know yours in the comment section. Let's continue to listen to her.
Don't know when my nights became so complicated. Woo! I don't know, because he did do Kate wrong. Karrueche!
What do you mean he did her wrong? She's saying that like he, cheated on her one time, or, said a couple of harsh things once, or, he threw her down a flight of stairs. That's more than just doing her a bit wrong.
Karrueche, I'm not the one to tell you to stay strong, baby. I felt like a motherfucking lawn chair when my soulmate called me, baby. So.
And I think that's the problem. I feel like because she hasn't got a handle on her management of relationships when it comes to soulmates and toxic situations, I think she's in a romanticized space with that. Once you get to the other side of it, we don't romanticize that anymore. It's just like, okay, but you are an X, Y, and Z, so absolutely not, right? And whilst you might have certain feelings for them, which after a point you don't even. The other thing I want to say about the soulmate thing is once you have learned your lesson, those feelings tend to just disperse, right? Because the feelings were only there to bring you to a certain point at which you would connect and learn your lesson. Once you've learned that lesson, your feelings will then die out. The lesson is learned. There's no need for the attraction and the magnetism, right? The fact that she's still feeling magnetized to a person is an indication, outside of the fact that she's still with someone who is, dysfunctional, is an indication that she hasn't learned the lesson yet, right? So, head over heart decisions, ladies, okay? We know I don't want to discount the soulmate thing. I do believe it's a real thing, but we need to be able to make head over heart decisions, and we need to be able to operate within our best interests, even in the face of these special connections.
Oh, I'm just happy. I'm just happy. And even if they're just cool, I just know the next hit that he makes after yesterday. Oh, I'm gonna be feeling it right here. Chris!
Yeah, she gets really excited. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, again, clearly she's in support of them, and she can relate to Karrueche going back to him, even though he threw her down a flight of stairs and she had to get a restraining order. Yeah, not Karrueche. Don't go back to that guy ever in your life, because you know what? They don't come back to treat you well. They come back to finish the job. Regardless of when they come back, they are coming back to finish the job. Okay. Here I've got the common point at which toxics will spin the block, aka Hoover, because these 4 are the common points at which they will do it. A, when you're happy and healed, because how dare you? You are supposed to be finished as a result of me. This is how a lot of narcissistic and abusive people think. Like, I was supposed to have ruined you. So you existing and being happy is a blow to my ego. So I'm going to come back and finish you off, because how dare you exist after I did what I did. I left you for someone else. I had a baby with someone else. I told you that you weren't ish. I beat you to a pulp. I did X, Y, and Z. You're not supposed to get up from that. What do you mean you're at Coachella kikiing and having fun? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the Hoover routine and get you to think that I've changed, right? That I've seen the error of my ways, that I'm a better man now, the changed man routine, right? So that I can finish off what I started. Because no, right? The second one is when you are in some sort of emotional tragedy. Maybe you lost a parent, maybe you lost a friend, maybe you lost a relationship that you really believed in, you broke up with somebody, he cheated on you, something. Here they come again, realizing the error of their ways, their fake epiphanies, that change person routine again, to get back into your space, because now you're vulnerable, you're feeling like you need something, and they will be that something for you happily. Again, the same, if you're in some sort of physical hardship, they like to swoop in and play the hero, right? Maybe you're going to be homeless. Maybe you lost a job. They love to swoop in and be the hero, regardless of the fact that they, may have been part of the reason why you lost your job, right? Because you were under so much emotional distress that you couldn't work for a while. And then you were in you were going through, I don't want to say probationary period. What's the thing where they take you through the stages before they sack you? I don't even know what that is. But yeah, you're going through the stages, and you went through those stages because of them, and then you were sacked. Something like that. Regardless of that, it's just an example. Maybe it's not that. Maybe, it's years later and you just stumble upon hard times, and then they come back around like, hey, hi. Yeah, that's really bad. In enough time for you to forget what a piece of they were, right? They come swooping in, Superman, right? And then there's the old special occasions and holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, blah, 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 happy birthday, all of those things where they come in to be like, oh, I realized the error of my ways. New me, new year, new me. I miss you. La 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 la. I've done a whole video on hoovering and what that a lot of the time looks like, with the Dave and Lauren from Love Is Blind situations. To check that out. But yeah, this is when they're going to do all of those things, right? Most probably. So when you're happy and healed, or just basically moved on with your life, when you're emotionally distressed, going through some sort of tragedy, so they can swoop in and trauma bond with you, right? And then, you're vulnerable. Number 3, when you're going through some sort of physical hardship, again, trauma bond with you. And again, you're vulnerable. You need the help. So then you can see them as the savior in your life until they turn into who they actually are, of course. And then there's the special occasions. This is when they're going to come for you. Guys, let me know in the comments when you were hoovered, when your toxic, narcissistic, or abusive person spun the block with you, right? What was it? Was it any of these times? Please confirm or deny. And if there was something extra, please add it so we can all learn from it, okay? This is not an exhaustive list. There are more times. I'm just talking about the key, most common points at which they will, come for you, essentially. And like I said, no matter what time it is to finish you off. It is to put the nail in the coffin. Like sometimes, literally. All right? So yeah, in conclusion, once you get out of there, stay out of there, okay? They're coming back to end you. They're coming back to, regardless of what they say to you, they are coming back to finish you off. Do not give them the opportunity. You got them out, keep them out. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and until the next time, live boldly, live empowered, live from the inside out. Bye for now.
You said it was love and all the above, but you wanna suffer. Trauma recovery, yeah, trauma recovery, toxic recovery, trauma recovery, toxic recovery, toxic recovery, toxic recovery.